Hello, hello. I'm feeling a little bit better every day after my crisis over New Year's, which was really intense. And I'm going through a lot of awareness stages right now, pondering and pondering over it, and also evaluating this whether it is worth it to live with emotional pain and and this constant tension. So, but I found out now. I think I'm pretty almost 100% sure now what the tension is all about that I've always been carrying inside of me. This anxiousness, terrible anxiousness, antsiness, like 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 I need to move forward, like when we were traveling in the motorhome and we had to backtrack, it would always bother me because I felt like I'm kind of backtracking. It's like a symbolic thing, I don't like backtracking. I need to move forward, move on, not be in denial, not shoot sideways, not backwards, not even up or down, but forward, straight forward, like a rocket ship, forward into space, like moving, 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 moving. So my idea that I carry inside of me is to develop a center, and I've been carrying this idea for a long time, like a treatment center, a healing center, but more than a clinic, more than a school, more than a yoga center, more than a tantra center, more than a meditation center, much more than that, much more than an art studio, much more than a petting zoo, all of that, but more and more and more and more and more. And I have been wanting to open up a center since I have been in primal therapy, and then later on I started to develop my own ideas about therapy, and I swayed away from primal therapy. I take with it the things that work. I leave behind the things that don't work. Okay, they can be very dangerous, the things that don't work. So, and this therapy approach is the valid things in it. They will work in conjunction with meditation and yoga and mindfulness, and also including Esther Hicks' 22 steps of better feeling thoughts, which is absolutely excellent and brilliant. There are brilliant things that she has established through her channeling, and some people don't believe it. I have been on the verge of skepticism for a long time, but I'm just gonna accept it now as that. I mean, in an agnostic way. I accept everything in the world in an agnostic way. In a agnostic means I don't know 100%, okay, but that's okay. Nobody knows 100%, and that's also something that Terence McKenna was over and over and over emphasizing, that we don't know anything 100%. It is an approach to truth. Everything is. It's just an attempt to understand things, an approach to truth. One person knows less than the next, and the next knows more than that one, and he has a more sensical understanding of truth because he experiences it, and he can find out for himself, and he can demonstrate to others this is how it works, and this is why it makes more sense. And so this is how we move forward. Okay, some people, they make the fatal mistake of saying science isn't valid because they don't know everything. this is such a terrible mistake to say that, and then somehow in a roundabout way go back to their biblical fairy tale understanding of life, and because the ego is stuck with it and wants to validate it and validates with it itself. So we need to move towards experiencing things, for ourselves, not take someone else's word for it, but when somebody says something that makes a whole lot of sense, then we need to really get into it, and we need to ponder over it. We need to dissolve the ego and all of this. If it hurts, it hurts. Let it hurt. Okay. If the truth hurts with something, allow it to hurt. It's an opportunity. This is the opportunity to step into connectedness, connectivity, oneness, vortex, zone, whatever you want to call it. You can call it a god. You can, whatever, give it any kind of name. It is the infinite universe, the flow. Okay, because there isn't even truth. Often has this idea of fixedness, of finite understanding. There is no such thing of a finite understanding of anything. It's a complete misunderstanding that people had, that there could be ever anything such as the final I get it now, this is like, this is it, this is how it works. No, it works in this moment, in this particular situation. It works in this particular situation. It is what it is. It is the truth. The truth itself, like this full understanding, that doesn't exist. It is soft. It's not a hard truth. There's no such thing as a final pattern of something. Everything is in a complete flux at all times. All the time. There isn't even such thing as split seconds. It just is in a constant gradual flow. We will measure it in split seconds. We have this rhythm established in order to understand time spans better. But the flow is a continuous. It's not even ordered in split seconds. It's just a continuous flowing of things. And so when we do healing, we cannot possibly say this will work for everybody now, in the future, or forever, or something. It is in a constant discovery, and people will come into obstacles and they will ponder over it. Why didn't this work? Why did it work for someone else? It will be a constant exploring. There's always a reason for everything, behind everything. There is a cause behind every effect. And it's just a continuous flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing. And whenever we are stuck with something, with an emotion, then we feel mentally ill. Then we feel like, I can't figure this out. I am stuck. I don't know how to go on with my life. I've encountered this over and over and over again my whole life. until recently, where I thought I could not possibly go on with my life. I thought, this is it now, this is the end. And then the reason why I made that video is because there was something inside of me that was somehow hoping that someone will help me. Like, it's always this rescue me, like hoping that the outside of myself somehow will come to my rescue. I still have it. I'm still saturated with this to this moment. And I also know that this is wrong. I know it intellectually. I can also taste it. I can feel it that this is wrong. I know that this is a intellectually dishonest, complacent, and lazy attitude to have. Without blame, I don't blame anybody for having this, for feeling this way, because there's a reason again why we get to that point. But what I'm trying to discuss is that there is also an elegant, superb, and perfect solution to get out of it. And that means getting out of this, not out of it, and getting through. Getting out always has this implication of running away from it or overcoming, like bridging it, getting, escaping from the actual. No, this is not how it's done. Every crisis is an opportunity for us to dive right through the center of the issue, as much as it feels frightening, because what we're doing is we're in a state of resistance. Esther Hicks talked about this many, 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 many times in her videos, that it is particularly that state of resistance that will cause us serious problems, including health problems, emotional problems, financial problems, everything. We can't even be there for someone else if we are stuck. And I see this very clearly. I see it with my dad. My dad, he hung up the phone, which brought me into a horrific depression, making me suicidal, but it's not his fault. He was just a trigger. And now, stepping back from the big picture, I see his issues. I see why he did it. He did it because he's in a state of resistance. Okay? That's how he deals with things. He hangs up the phone. He walks away. And then he brags about it and says, I am selfish. Like, that's somehow the solution to things, No, that just makes other people giggle and think he is somehow cool. And then he gets off the hook that way. No, he does not get off the hook. Not for me. He made me mad yesterday because he was again doing this total denial, like as if nothing is going on. Total denial, just like this. I deny it, therefore it doesn't exist. Therefore Nikki is not depressed and everything is just cool. Well, I was depressed and he didn't see it, and I felt disrespected, my ego, okay? And then the whole thing, it just aggravates itself again. So, but I see very clearly what it is with him. After a good night's sleep, I can wake up and I can step away from that big old picture, not be like head underwater, drowned in this picture, but getting out, away with the rocket ship, looking at it from above. And seeing all these causalities, these interactions, these interdependencies from above, and then I see, aha, this is how it is all formed and shaped. And this is how he feels, this is how she feels, this is how I feel. And this is how we have triggered each other. And so I see very clearly he's done this his entire life. He's like 86 years old or something now, 85. He's done it his entire life. He has, I'm gonna be 50 this year. He's gonna be 85, so in November. He's 35 years older than I am. But I'm not letting them get off the hook because of this. That's a real lazy mistake people make. He is way too old, No, we can't confront them anymore with it. We shouldn't do accusations, blame, and insinuations with anybody, matter of fact. We shouldn't do this with a child, we shouldn't do this with a teenager, we shouldn't do it with a dog, we shouldn't do it with an older person, we shouldn't do it with an elderly person. And my parents, they may be in an elderly age, but if you look at them and talk to them, they're like somebody in their late 60s, so they're biologically much younger than their chronological age. But even if I encountered a real old person in a geriatric place, like bedridden and in a real nasty, blamish state of hate, and I used to get mad at this. I feel terribly sorry for someone who is in that state, because I know that they are suffering. They're really, really, really suffering. And for me, it's also a great teacher when I see something like this, because I do not want to go that route. Okay, I want to definitely die before that could ever possibly happen. And even if I didn't die, I don't ever want to go there. I don't ever want to become a bitter. Somebody wished that to me when I was 16 years old. I was in a bus and I was sitting there with my girlfriend, and we were snickering teenage girls. That this old lady comes by and she acts like she's falling over my purse or leg or something, and I didn't even have my leg in the aisle. She acts like totally hysterical, like tries to blame me for falling, and then getting really mad, cursing and stuff. And then while we were getting off the bus, I was walking by, there she was standing with this hostile, angry smirk on her face, like a predator type of person who is just waiting for me to walk by her so that she can do her drive-by insulting. And that's what she did. She said to me, "I wish you to one day become old and jealous." And it's like, okay, she just told me that she is old and very jealous. Okay, and this was so obvious. And right there, I was so shocked when I got off the bus. I said to my friend, "Oh, this is creepy. This is too much." And then I just kept on thinking about this throughout my whole life, how somebody can possibly become like this. And I see it's definitely jealousy and issues that have never ever been resolved. And I decided right then and there, this is not where I want to go. Those are very important teachers in our lives when those nasty type of folks come across, because they tell us where we should not go. They show us a path that has a sign right in the front that says dead end street. And so this was very helpful for me, because I have been dealing with a lot of jealousy issues in my life. So instead of kind of like fixing it up and patching it up and denying it and harboring and feeding the jealousy even more, particularly when it's covered up and smoldering somewhere under the rug, then it gets really bad. No, I was willing to definitely look at it and dive right through the center of this jealousy and confront myself with it and be honest with myself and say, yes, I am jealous of my, back then I had this diva girlfriend, African queen, black beauty, gorgeous mulatto girl, taller than me, huge behind, and just gorgeous woman, looks a little bit like Grace Jones, and she also modeled her hairstyle after Grace Jones, and all the men were like stunned by her, and I was that meek, the average looking, like a like a schlepper type of person next to her, totally in her shadow, behind her nobody would even notice me, and there were the jealousy feelings, and this, I can talk and laugh about this now, this finally at age 49 I can laugh about this, but in the past it was so bad. I had to break off the relationship with her. I said to her under stream of tears, I said to her, I am jealous of you, and I am so sorry, but I cannot hang out with you anymore. It is triggering my jealousy too much. People, they kind of like make fun of this type of scenario. They kind of poke jokes at it, but it is actually a really, really serious state of mind. But at least I was not just walking away and covering it up and denying it. No, I was hitting it frontally. I was going right for it. And I sat on a park bench with her, and she cried with me. And anyway, I want to design a center where people can feel safe. This is that's the bottom line of it. Where anyone with any kind of resistance issue, which is mental illness, which can become mental illness, which can become depression, which can be anything, where people are sort of stuck, where people can go and where they can just feel good, where we can help anyone from A to Z, where we can help someone who is just having concentration problems in school to someone who is schizophrenic, or a homeless person on the street who is completely incapable of functioning. So helping everybody, helping business people when they feel like they're stuck and they encounter obstacles because they are too stuck on generating money than on enjoying the flow of it. So we can help all these people. We can help people with relationship problems. Everything goes back to resistance, a state of resistance. So when we can help people get out of the state of resistance, then we can really help people flow again. And I can't help my dad because he's my dad. I translated him one chapter out of the book by Thich Nhat Hanh about communication. I don't know if he's going to read it. I don't know if they're going to print it out. I told him about the Vipassana meditation, but beyond that, I really can't help him. I can't help people unless they come to the point where they see that their stuckness is causing really severe problems of where they cannot enjoy life anymore, where they're suffering very deeply, and where they feel like, okay, I don't have anything to lose, now I'm gonna make this next step in my life. And so only those people will seek out a place where they can get new ideas and where they can find back into the flow of life and learn and meet themselves maybe for the first time in their lives. beyond their religion, their ego, their power structure that they have been seeing themselves part of, and all of this, and then they feel like without that, without being ordered into that particular hierarchy system, they feel like they are like a fish out of water or something. So, but bringing them back into, for the first time, bringing them into the flow of life itself, putting the fish back in the water, by telling them that being a fish out of water is your chance to get into the water. So to get into the flow, into the water of life, of infinity, of that who they really are. And that would be so amazing if we could establish something like this. That would be so awesome. Now, I gave my husband a foot massage earlier today with 3 flowers. When the weather clears up, I'm going to film those flowers with this computer because that works better for filming. And I'm going to put these flowers on YouTube, and maybe somebody can help me identify them, because I don't know what they're called. Maybe they're called carnation, but I'm not sure. I have to do some research on this. That could be that they're called carnation. I don't know why this word comes to mind all of a sudden. But so those are very condensed red flowers that I don't have anymore. I used them all up on his feet. I squished them onto his feet, and I massaged them in, and I squished the water out, and I rubbed it all over his feet, and I could feel how much he was relaxing, and it felt really good to see him relax, because he's not very relaxed usually. So, and I want to do this, maybe I'm going to get into this every day now. And if this is helpful, then this is something that can help other people as well. And maybe he can try doing this on my feet too. That would be an amazing experience. And long time ago, I had migraines, and a girl at the hot springs who had been doing acupuncture and pressure point massages and stuff like this, who had been learning about this, had been in training programs like this. She told us something very, very important. She said that give pressure point foot massages when one has migraine headaches. And that's what we've been doing ever since. And it solved the headaches right away. It would clear the headaches up within seconds, actually. Almost instantly. It's amazing. And when I'm feeling really bad and stuck and in resistance to things, and depressed and all of this, or angry, then when I'm too angry, I have to actually let the rage out onto my pillow in my room. I close the door. I don't let Kenny in or Paul, and I don't want them to be worried about me, so I let this out. I bury my face in the pillow, and I scream into the pillow, or I pound on my mattress. And that's excellent. That's an excellent release when you're really, 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 really angry. When you're in total rage, like where you feel like you almost see blood or something. That's what you want to do. That's the safe thing to do. And then when you come back out, it is very good if you can address the hurt underneath. And Arjanov talked about this a lot. Always address the hurt that's underneath that rage. Somebody triggered it, obviously. Or a feeling triggered it, like I'm a loser or something. And so then you can address that, and you can dive right into it, this feeling of I'm a loser. Mara has been working with people on this and helped some people, but what I don't like about her approach is that she kind of like almost has somebody talk themselves into it, like with force, like say that like 50 times. And that's also the mistake of primal therapy. It's just then when people dwell in something, it becomes a reinforcement of the neurons. We don't want that. We just want it to flow. We want to flow through it, and then go straight back to the positive affirmations and the feelings of, yes, I can do it. I am not a loser. I'm actually a winner. I'm really brave. I went through this feeling. I didn't duck away from it. I'm not doing what Annalise is doing. I'm not denying it and she's making herself think like she is the grandest. It's a self-defense mechanism that is very, very dangerous, and particularly for old people. And bloating and grandness and grandiosity, and looking back on all these achievements. These achievements make who I am. And it's a terrible, terrible vicious cycle when they do this. They become more and more victim of this, and then they can't let go from life. Sometimes they end up bedridden for years because they can't let go. They're in so much resistance and clinging and attachment to these achievements that feed their egos, and the ego clinging is so bad that they can't let go. They can't get into any flow of anything. They just suffer in total agony, and that's such a horrific state of mind, because it also chases everybody away. It chases other people. They start hating that person, and they don't even, and the nurses even don't want to deal with a person like this. It's such a terrible, pitiful state. And so I just want people to become aware of this. This is so incredibly important. I wish I could help Annalise, but she's not receptive to this at all, what I have to say, because everything, when I talk about Vipassana, it just it's an affront against her psychoanalytical thinking and career that she has built her ego on. So everything that will just question what she has done in the past is a terrible, terrible threat. It's like worse than death, and that's why I think it is so incredibly important that we help people for like hospice work, and that also in hospice work, I think a lot of people, they are very likely to give in to these egoic grandiosities and these stuck patterns of these old people. And that's why they're bedridden in the first place. That's why they're even sick in the first place. The Aborigines, when they get very old, the tribal people that live out in the desert, the last remaining, I don't know, maybe 20 people now today, but in the past they were all living like this. Many of them became mentally ill when they came into the cities, because they're all highly sensitive people, like me. They're highly, highly, highly sensitive, and when they're confronted with city and the neurosis in city people around them, that makes them crazy, and they just can't handle. They break down under it. And then some of them have recognized this, have been able to step out of the big picture and see this, what's going on, and they went back into the desert. They went back into the old traditions that they have been, the way they have been living, without jewelry, without clothes. They just have shorts on or something, and without shoes, and they just walk out there, and they go back to the total flow of living in that desert. And then when somebody gets into the state of acceptance like that, like the Aborigines, then there is no fear at all of suffering, because that will be just a continuous, like a continuous flow into not being in the physical anymore. Complete flow and complete acceptance of every single stage of awareness that there is. They don't have to worry about euthanasia or any of it. But for us city dwellers and neurotic citizens and surrounded with so much bombardment of pesticides and radio frequencies and all kinds of horrific things around us, it is not going to be very easy to get to this full state of the Aborigines way of flow. So for us but at least we should never give up. We should move towards it. And even they are in a continuous flow of learning. There's never an end state to anything. So anybody who says they're enlightened, or anyone who says they're omniscient, this already says they are full of shit. So that already is that gives it away already. That they're in a stuck state of grandiosity, of egoic. And that's the highest egoic state there is. If somebody can possibly say that they're enlightened. So, not even the Buddha claimed that he was enlightened. Not other people claimed that about him. Not even Jiddu Krishnamurti claimed that he's enlightened. Okay, my dog doesn't claim that he's enlightened. He just is. He is in a flow. He is in a very advanced state of flow and existence. And so this is what we need to learn from, that the real teacher is the one who is childlike, naive in a positive way, in the connectedness way. Like that girl Elita Andre. I don't know if you have seen her videos. Maybe I'll put a link under this video. Elita Andre is one of those people, a child artist who is completely in the flow. All of her needs have been met, and her parents are artists, and she just naturally flew right into this domain. It's just, she grew into it. There was no recognition of it. There was no decision making of any kind. It just naturally grew into it already at an age 2, and so did I. At age 2 I started to do drawings because my dad is an architect and he has always done drawings also of landscapes, and art was all around me, modern art. The entire house was just flowing over with modern art, and that was the right environment for me to become an artist. Not everything was perfect like in Elita Andre's life. In my life there were things very wrong too, but the art, that was the right, and that's exactly what some people were worried about, that art. There is this spooky thing there by Paul Wunderlich, and that was exactly what made me feel connected. See, that's how people will misunderstand things out of their own, but that's out of their own stuckness. So, or their own preconceptions of things. But modern art, unless it's something that's really negative, there is negative modern art, and I don't call that modern art, because art is supposed to be not negative. It can make a statement of some sort. It can be spooky. It can be a little creepy even, but not negative. It should not portray violence, of any sort, neither in a painting, sculpture, or any other form, sound or performance or whatever. Never, never, never get into violence. That's not the right message. Modern art should be a peace message, but not in order to struggle with the world, but in order to be connected. Modern art should be in the flow. It should be connected. It can tell a story of one's life or dreams or aspirations or whatever, even of their suffering, but it shouldn't portray violence in, in order to show violence. So that should not be, if somebody has a large enlarged foot, that may be a state of suffering, but that portrait is Picasso. It's that's a development. That's a flow again. Yeah. The transitioning, and that's what I work with in my art. I like transitioning states. I like abstractions of shapes that I already like, and I make them even more abstract. I make them even bigger and bloat them up and make them grow. But it's a flow. It's a flow situation, and that's true art, when things are flowing. Like Picasso is the perfect example. That's why he's also like seen as the father of modern art, because he started out with regular photorealistic, dimensionally accurate depictions, and as time went by he just developed this love for certain shapes, and then he would make them bigger, make them grow, make them expand, make them shift a little bit. I don't think he did LSD even. I mean, he may have, but it's already, when people do this, when they're in this flow, this is already happening. It is a bit like a hallucinogen experience, but do it naturally. I would say, let yourself get into this naturally and gradually, not like a shock. All of a sudden, brain is all scrambled up. The brain can't even cope with all of this. All of a sudden, particular people who are in a stuck state. I don't know. Maybe marijuana could be, because it's very mild. It could help people like Annalise. The marijuana tea could help her maybe, and then very gradually working with this. But I think what's even more important, I don't know. I saw some interesting programs about this, of therapy treatment, also with psilocybin, and helping people who have nothing to lose. So this is fantastic. And there are so many plants out there, so many more plants people don't even know about. So many teacher plants that can tell us so much, that have so much to say, like Pieris japonica, for example. But we have, this has to be mind-altering plants. They have to be definitely studied, and it has to be taken very seriously, and not be experimented with. Like, those are not recreational things. Recreational is when you have a massage done, and those are safe things to do. Or you listen to 10 hours of Terence McKenna talk, or you listen to Esther Hicks, or you listen to Jiddu Krishnamurti, it's even better, and Friedrich Nietzsche, okay, and this is a better approach. That will slowly and gradually get you to have understanding and recognizing truth and truthful flow patterns in life that are moving forward instead of sideways or backwards. So the therapy center that I want to establish is gonna be a place where there are no bullies allowed. If somebody has the need to bully, they are out. There is no way they can. The pygmy people in Africa, in the jungle, when somebody is mean and bullyish, they kick them out of the tribe. And they don't let them come back in until that person has sobered up. And then when they sobered up and come back and apologize to them and kiss these people's feet, in India they do that too, then they are accepted back in. We don't need to kiss people's feet, but I really think that when we allow people to bully others, that includes the old fogies in the geriatric places who are mean. When there are some really, really mean old folks. I've seen it in Germany, I've seen it here as well. You know, one lady asked me if I chain myself to the whales. When somebody is an asshole and they're 85 years old, it doesn't matter how old they are. When they decide to be an asshole, then they need to be held accountable for it. It doesn't matter, they can be half in a delirium and be an asshole. And they can be half gone in a geriatric hospital. As long as they're an asshole, do not give in to this. Do not say, hold the other cheek and say, oh, they're old and we need to have compassion for them. No, that's not compassion. To give in, to hold the other cheek is not compassion. It's a huge misunderstanding people have done. Martin Luther, this entire evangelical movement, hold the other cheek, it's a huge, gigantic mistake and misunderstanding that has happened to humanity. Okay. Rethink, reform, restructure, and understand that do not give in. That doesn't mean we have to punish them or anything, or eye for an eye. No, I don't like eye for an eye. But we need to correct them. We need to hold them accountable, and we need to say to them, every nurse needs to say, hey, wait a minute. I have feelings too. And then the old person will come out of the delirium and say, oh, okay, I guess I got carried away. And maybe they will say, I'm sorry. And then we're in business again, okay? Then we're on track again. And this can even heal that person, come back out of the geriatric hospital and live a few more years in prosperity, in happiness, and in the flow of creative evolving. So that would be really something. So there are some elements in society that desperately need to be reformed, and that also includes our school system around the whole world, and the hospital system, the geriatric system, and the banking system, obviously too. We need to go back to a barter system. It's very important. But those are all things that will follow the first steps. So everything has to be done in the right order. We can't be skipping any step. We can't go from A to Z. We have to go from A to B to C to D, incrementally. And the way we do it is we design self-help groups. And John McCain had that idea. I thought that was awesome. But insurance companies, they weren't too happy with it, so they slandered him and people turned against him. This is how easily, and then people easily believe that slander and the peer pressure. Slander in form of peer pressure. That's always how it works. It's like a taboo among Fisher people to vote for Hillary Clinton, or anyone who says anything good about her. That person will be bullied into the ground. Don't make the mistake of giving into this. Stand your ground. Nice, friendly, but determined. Stand your ground, people. Don't cave in. Don't cave in to peer pressure. We need Hillary Clinton. She's the only one who can save this country from complete collapse. If you like your life and your money and your bank account and your possessions and your real estate, vote for Hillary Clinton or your stuff is gonna be gone. It's gonna be a goner. Don't give in to peer pressure and have all of your stuff dwindle into the bank accounts of the Chinese governmental people. So, and I don't have so much against the Chinese governmental people. Many of them are just as we are, they're neurotic. But they have some things straightened out, some things they got more straightened out than the people here in the West. Not everything. There are some things that are much worse too. But it will probably, this country will probably be taken over by China eventually, because I see people are probably not ready to make the right decisions, the right voting decisions. But that's why I can only say, make the right voting decision. Don't wait until it's too late. But anyway, these are all just suggestions to people. These are invitations. Let's do it right. Maybe we can do it better. Maybe we can move ahead. But if they are not ready for it, if they don't do it, then there's nothing I can do about it. But at least I gave my thoughts. I write my thoughts in comment form, in email form, in video form, in book form. That's all I can do. I can sign petitions, I can run petitions, I can write letters to legislators. That's all I can do. This is my domain of work. If everybody did it, we would move ahead much faster. Okay? There are some really amazing people out there who do a lot and a lot more than I do. A lot more. Those are my heroes. They risk their lives. They're awesome people. So those are our angels, our guards, our role models, and our teachers: Paul Watson, Ingrid Newkirk, Peter Hammerstedt, Simone Race, okay, and many more people. Dan Matthews, awesome people out there. So those are the ones to look up to. Those are the ones to orient yourself on. Those are the ones you want to read their books, their blogs, their videos. You want to see what they have to say. You want to go on their Facebook pages, and you want to find out what you can do to participate, to join this effort to move towards kindness, love, protecting all earthian beings. Okay, that's where we want to move to, and that will also heal our hearts. Literally, it will heal our minds. It will make us free, and it will heal our physical hearts, because if we become vegetarian or vegan is the best, then we're also going to be healing our hearts. And our hearts will also be healed when our symbolic hearts are healed. This is very much interlinked. There's a reason why we say good heart. Okay? There's a reason for that. There's a physical interconnection going on with this. It's really in the brain, but there's a symbolic connection, and there's an energy connection to this. So I believe that we can heal everything. We can heal all wounds, and if we open up a clinic and we open up self-help groups, doesn't have to be sophisticated. It can be in form of an old church. It can be a new church. It can be an abandoned building. It can be even churches who are more open-minded can follow into these footsteps, and if they are willing to let go of the ego and say, okay, let's transform this church that's really there to help people, right? But it hasn't helped in the past. A lot of people have become drug addicts. In Crescent City it's particularly the case. So transform this church into a real healing center. Make Jesus Christ happy, okay? Make his soul happy. And show him that you understood his message. Make Mahatma Gandhi happy. Make the Buddha happy. Make these energies happy and show them that you understood what they were talking about.